Okay, in this particular problem, again, I'm trying to solve or factor. We're looking for answers on the unit circle. I do have an issue. I don't like that I have cosine and sine squared. Okay, I'm not going to be able to factor a problem like that if at all possible. So I'm going to start out by changing sine squared of x. And I notice sine squared, looking at my Pythagorean identities, is equivalent to 1 minus cosine squared. I like the fact that I only have to deal with cosine in this problem. So I'm going to rewrite the whole equation. Nothing changes on the left. Okay, now here on the right, where most people might make mistake is they forget you need to incorporate these parentheses, because 2 is being multiplied by everything that sine squared changed into. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these parentheses. So now I get 1 minus cosine of x on the left equals 2 minus 2 cosine squared of x. Now, at this point, I have to decide which way do I want to move everything. Okay, and I am going to move everything to the left side of the equation. The reason being is I don't like this negative here that's with my square. That kind of creates a little bit of havoc when I'm trying to factor. So an easy way to get rid of this is I'm going to move everything to the left. So I'm going to add 2 cosine squared of x to both sides. Add 2 cosine squared x. And I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2 here, minus 2. Okay, this is going to go away, this is going to go away. And over here on the right, I get equals 0. And now I'm going to put this in standard form. So I want the highest power first, so 2 cosine squared of x. And then I have a power of 1 here, this negative cosine of x, which didn't move. And then I can combine like terms. I have a positive 1 here and a negative 2. I can put those together to make negative, fix that, fix my pen here, negative 1. All right, now I have a typical trinomial. It's in standard form. I'm going to go ahead and set up my parentheses to go ahead and start plugging stuff into the binomial. Whatever goes in the first position here, right here and here, has to multiply together to give me 2 cosine squared. And since 2 is prime, I really only have one option, 2 cosine of x times 1 cosine of x. I also notice that my signs, as in my positives and negatives, have to be different. So right here, it's either plus minus, minus plus. I'm going to go ahead and do plus minus. And then my last terms are going to multiply together to give me 1, and the only whole numbers that multiply to 1 are 1 and 1. Now I'll check. This is positive 1 cosine of x. This is negative 2 cosine of x. And those would combine to make this middle term, so it factors correctly. Okay, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and make 2 separate equations. When does the stuff on the left equal 0? And when does the stuff on the right equal 0? All right, on the left, this is a 2-step equation. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 and divide by 2. And so I get cosine of x equals negative 1/2. Be very careful with your signs, as in positives and negatives. Okay, because if you had a positive 1/2, your answers would be wrong, but you would see it on the unit circle thinking you're right. This is a 1-step equation here. I'm going to go ahead and add 1 to both sides. And you get cosine of x equals positive 1. And now it's all about the unit circle. So in the first position, because cosine, going around the unit circle here, cosine is, you'll notice, the very first position here. I'm looking for negative 1/2 and positive 1. Well, I see a positive 1 right there. And then I'm looking for negative 1/2 in the first coordinate here. I see 1 here, and I see 1 here. So my answers in radians are 0, 2 pi over 3, fix that, and 4 pi over 3. So 0, comma, 2 pi over 3, comma, 4 pi over 3. Final answer. A little more work on that problem, but not too bad.